Hey guys, this video is inspired by a question I was asking myself today, which was how many books do I need to sell to make $50,000 or 50K? And this is inspired actually by a Facebook group called 20 Books to 50K. If you haven't heard of it, definitely check it out. It's amazing for indie authors, but I've heard of this group before, and I've heard of the theory that obviously the more books you have out in the world, the more likely you are to make more money. But I thought, let's dig into the stats. So before I go any further into that, I wanted to share what we're looking at, which is Book Report. This is a website that is specifically pulling data from Amazon sales from your KDP dashboard. If you have KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, if you don't know what that is, I'll link some info below, such as my video on how to upload to KDP and what book royalties look like on KDP specifically. But this is not pulling data from, Ingram Spark sales or Draft to Digital sales or my website sales or, wherever else you might be online. It's just Kindle Direct Publishing, so just keep that in mind. But this is the Today tab, and it's showing how much I've made so far today, which is $12.81 on these three books, The Jenny Key, The Stolen Kingdom, and The Cursed Hunter. It has an amazing graph here, and then it shares the details, the very specific stuff down in this bottom section for like which book specifically, like how many, what was the total income from each specific book. So FYI, before I go further, I do have a video all about how I use Book Report, where I dive into these other tabs and I show you my historical sales for different months, for my total, like all-time sales on KDP. So if you are interested in that, I'll link that below. That's over on my Patreon exclusives, along with other book sales income reports that I do there. But for this video today, I wanted to focus on this specific number, and we're gonna live in a really pretend world, okay? Because you guys all know that book sales are not a salary. Like, this is not the exact number I get every day. I'm not gonna make $12.81 every single day, but we're gonna pretend for the sake of this video that that's the case. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take $12.81 and I'm gonna multiply that by 30 days. We're gonna, skip the months with 31 days and just, in this pretend scenario, every single month has 30 days, okay? So we're living in a fantasy world, just go with it. Let's say that's the case, then I would make $384.30 every single month currently. And that's, again, in the pretend world that I make this exact dollar amount every single day and not more or less, which is obviously completely false. But we're going to go with it, and we're going to continue to multiply that by 12 months to see how much I would make in this year, which is $4,611.60. And again, totally fake scenario because this number changes every single day. But we're really enjoying the pretend world. We're enjoying feeling that stable number and having actual knowledge of the future, okay? So let's just say that currently where I am with these three books, and other days I do sell my other books. So I technically also have Evelyn's number, Pearl's number, and How Your Book Sells Itself. Newer books do sell more frequently than older books. Books that I promote more sell better than books that I don't promote, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of factors that come into play, one of which is including book royalties. For example, see, look at this. The Evelyn's number is now listed, which it wasn't earlier today when I was thinking of this idea. So it technically says 6 sales now, but there's no income there, which is false because this book does make a royalty, and so Book Tracker is not perfect. It's not exact science. It levels out if you do more of a month view versus a day view. So like, for example, this sale probably just came in, so the earnings might come in on that tomorrow, but we're just going to pretend that it's perfect because remember, we are living in a fantasy world. And so this, like, for example, this number right here is an average royalty for one book, even though it says I sold 2. So that the rest of the royalties for the other book are probably coming in tomorrow as well. So again, Book Tracker is not perfect. You would want to go to your KDP dashboard, but this is pretty close. For right now, let's figure out how many books I need to sell to make $50,000. And this is, again, in a perfect world, fantasy world with no taxes. I don't have to give any of this money anywhere else. This is all coming to me. So we're going to divide $50,000 by this royalty number because in our perfect world, all books have the exact same royalty. We don't have to worry about the fact that technically every single book has a different royalty depending on page number and where it is and on what site and so on and so forth. But we're just going to pretend and divide 50,000 by $2.73 royalty to find out that to make 50K in a year, I would have to sell 18,315 books. Dang, that is a lot of books. So FYI, in traditional publishing, the stats change, but I've heard that typically your average traditionally published book sells anywhere from between 2,000 to 3,000 books in its entire lifetime. If you want to know what it takes to hit the New York Times bestseller list, on average, they say if a book sells over 10,000, but it can be less as well. So this is a huge number for 1 year, at least for one book. Let's break it down a little bit further, shall we? We're going to divide it by 12 months to figure out, okay, 1,526 book sales a month. And let's break it down even more. Let's divide it by 30 days in a month. So now, here's our number, you guys. This is my new goal. I need to sell 50 books a day to make 50K. And that rhymed accidentally, but I love it. So I might have to put that on my wall or something because that's hilarious. And I'm going to believe in this. This is my goal. This is where I'm aiming for someday, and I can do this. But what I will point out to you is that if I only had one book out, it would be a heck of a lot harder to get 50 book sales of just one book in a day. So that all comes back to that Facebook group that I mentioned, the 20 books to 50K group. They're essentially not telling you have to sell, you don't need exactly 20 books. And they say this in the group. They're like, it's not like a magic number. You have 20 books out, you make 50K. It's not how it works. But what they are saying in this group, and the reason they have that title that's kind of just catchy and it kind of gives you a sense of what they're about, is that it does help to have more books in your backlist. So with 3 books, I have to sell, hold on, I'm not great at math, let's just do this, 16 books a day per book. Or, let's go back to 50, easy math, which is that if I had 5 books out, I would just need to sell 10 of each book per day. Now, obviously, that's another fantasy world thing because the newer books are going to sell more than older books, and different things like having them on sale is going to help you sell more, and so on and so forth. So we're really sticking to the fantasy here. We're really being really basic. But if I had 50 books out, that would be 1 of each book per day. Now that's a big goal. But if I had 25 books out, 25 books to 50K would mean just selling 2 copies of each story per day. And that's a heck of a lot easier than trying to sell 50 copies of one story, which is so much more difficult. It's still doable. I still believe in this. I still believe in you guys, and I believe in myself. We can get to this goal. I have seen authors, indie authors, who sell a ton of books a day. My books are averaging, 5 to 10 books a day is where my average is. But I am continuing to see it grow. I'm continuing to believe that I can get to this number. And I know that the more books that I put out, the closer I will be. So I hope this was encouraging to you guys. If you want to know more about book royalties, again, I have a video on that and I'll link it below. But if you want to know more about my specific book sales, back in January 2020, I started sharing my book sales income reports over on my Patreon page in the video club as an exclusive. In that video club, I do tons of early access videos, but I also do exclusives that are just for patrons in the video club and up. And so I did go over not only my book sales income for each month so far in 2020, but also I did a video on book report and I shared my historical income. I also shared my all-time sales for all vendors, including Direct to Digital, Ingram Spark, what else? My website. I share these things because they motivate me. They make me excited. When I see other authors share that they have sold over 500,000 books, or if they made over $500,000 in a year. And so I hope that it does that for you as well. That's why I decided to share this, to give you a little bit of insight into what it takes to make 50K as an author. And again, this is a fantasy world where you don't have to pay taxes and where everything is exactly the same numbers. But in reality, we have things like side hustles, like my YouTube income and my Patreon income. And so I am excited for this goal. This is my next goal, is to get to 50K income. Maybe for 2020, and if not for 2020, then for 2021, is to get to 50K a year from being an author. And whether that's from my books alone or from other things, either way, I'm excited about it. So I wanted to share. I hope this encourages you and motivates you. I hope you enjoy this. If you want to know more about author money, I did make an author money playlist below. And again, you can find out more author money stuff over on my Patreon page. All right, you guys, that's all I have for today. Give this video a thumbs up to support my channel and subscribe if you're not already. And I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.